What's going on, everyone? So, Bradley Beal was traded to the Phoenix Suns, creating a big three of Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton. You could say a big four, depending on how you perceive DeAndre Ayton. But very likely what they're going to do is they're going to take Ayton and turn him into hopefully two, if not three, quality rotation guys, kind of round out the roster. Because between Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, you got more than enough scoring, more than enough playmaking. You basically got most of the grounds covered, but you lack depth, you lack defense, and the biggest thing is you lack a point guard. Now they do can still have Cameron Payne. So technically they have five guys: Cameron Payne, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton. And that could very well be their starting five going into next season. Cameron Payne has had some really good moments for the Phoenix Suns. And, you just kind of need a guy to kind of just bring the ball up and then initiate the offense, give the ball to one of these three. It's also going to be very interesting to see, what is the pecking order and how do they approach the offensive sets and schemes and stuff like that. Who becomes that third guy, which very likely is going to be Bradley Beal. But how does they approach that? Does he just kind of become like a Ray Allen where he's just a spot-up shooter, but he's not like a great spot-up shooter, not to the level of like a Ray Allen and stuff? Going to be really interesting. And the Phoenix Suns are very likely going to re-sign a lot of the guys that they currently have anyway. Like a Jock Landale, Torrey Craig, TJ Warren. I could see them, maybe Bismack Biyombo. All of these guys. Terrence Ross is another one that comes to mind. All of these guys very likely will be re-signed as well. They'll figure it out, in my opinion. It's just how much quality is that depth. But the point guard position is the biggest concern. It's the biggest issue. And based on recent reports, it looks like they have who they're going to have at point guard. And that is Devin Booker. So Booker is expected to be the primary ball handler. Devin Booker to serve as a de facto point guard after the Beal trade. Now look, Devin Booker is more than capable of kind of running the show a bit. When Chris Paul went down, kind of was the point guard, and they were actually better with him and Kevin Durant kind of running the show, and that could very well be the case, but he's not a point guard, right? He is a guy that can play make, right? He's basically a 28, 5-5 guy. That's essentially what he is, and what he's been for pretty much most of his career. He's 24, 5-4 for his career. But this is a guy that, yes, he can initiate the offense. Yes, you can have him bring the ball up and kind of run the show and, kind of have him at the point, have Beal at the 2, have KD at the 3, and then, maybe you try to turn Ayton into a power forward in the center, right? That's what you hope for. And that's cool and all. That might work. I talked about this in a previous video when the trade first went down. I was kind of like, so what? Are you going to have Bradley Beal play point guard? Or are you going to have Devin Booker? Those were kind of my thoughts. And it looks like Devin Booker is going to be that guy. And yes, maybe it's successful. Maybe it can kind of work. Right? Devin Booker has been pretty unselfish over the years. But he's good at a few things. He's really good at getting to the basket, penetrating, finishing at the hoop, which you want to see continue. He's also been pretty good off the ball. Yes, he's good with the ball in his hands, but he can play off the ball pretty well, kind of run different actions. And it's one thing to have to make plays here and there, right? You got the ball, drive to the hoop, defenses collapse, boom, let me kick it out. Guy knocks it down, boom, there's an assist. That's not the same thing as okay, I got to run the show. I got to take a step back. I got to make sure Bradley Beal eats. I got to make sure Kevin Durant eats. I got to make sure the guy, standing in the corner, whoever that is at that time, he gets a shot. He gets a good look. I need to get my center a couple good looks, let him eat a little bit so he stays engaged, so he stays involved. It's a big difference. Big difference. If anybody could just do that, then no team would really need to draft an all-star point guard or hope that they could develop some all-star point guard, right? as much as we are focused on, switchable wings and, versatile big men and quality guard play, point guard position is still very important. There's a reason why every team still tries to get a star level point guard, right? And you look at all the quality teams, all the really good teams, most of them have a point guard. Denver, Jamal Murray, Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, right? All of these teams have those guys. Or they have a guy that can at least run the show. Like even the Boston Celtics, they have Marcus Smart, right? The Bucks, they have Drew Holiday. All of these guys can run the show. They've been point guards the whole careers. That's great. And Devin Booker's essentially going to have to evolve from a guy that just go get buckets. Go get me 30, right? Let's go. Come on. Go drop 70, right? Let's go. Come on. To, okay, I need to take a step back. I need to go from 28 points to 24 points and get my assist count up from 5 to 8. Right? Like that's a hard adjustment. And here's the thing. When Kevin Durant came, Kevin Durant was the one that took a step back. It wasn't Devin Booker. Devin Booker was still eating. Devin Booker was still feasting. And Devin Booker's also the Suns, right? Like that was his team. Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal came to his team. Does that become an issue? Does that become a conflict? Does that become something that could, sort of rear its ugly head at some point, right? I think either A, you go with Bradley Beal. Again, Bradley Beal, he's, 23, 5-5 guy. And the reason I kind of lean towards Bradley Beal, which maybe they make this adjustment, Bradley Beal is very similar in a lot of ways to Devin Booker, right? He can knock down 3-ball. He's not like a great elite 3-point shooter, but he can knock it down, operate 3-level score, right? Hit the mid-range, get to the basket. He's good at getting to the basket. Bradley Beal was like 4th in the league in finishing at the rim. So he's really good at that. He's actually better than Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. So you're talking about a guy, Bradley Beal, 6'4", can play both guard positions and play make. But here's the thing. Bradley Beal is very likely going to be the third option regardless. And if he's going to be the third option, I think one of the easiest ways to kind of make him the third option is to put him in that playmaking role to where he has to feed it to Devin Booker and he has to feed it to Kevin Durant. Because then what happens is instead of, he has the ball in his hands, so he feels like he's engaged. He feels like he's, a part of this whole thing. And now he's like, oh, I want my buddy, I want Booker to eat. Oh, let's go get it, Booker. Yeah, let's go. All right, I need KD to eat. Boom. All right, let me cross the street up and get a bucket. Right, boom. All right, you got this nice little balance, this nice little flow. He's feeling good about himself. And you can see that shift kind of evolves into that playmaker role because that's what they need. They need one of these guys to kind of take a step back and evolve into that playmaker role. I think Devin Booker is the better player. I think Devin Booker is the guy that should be the scorer, Devin Booker, rather than the playmaker, Devin Booker, because he's going to take a step back. Where if you make Bradley Beal the pseudo point guard, he's the guy that can take the step back on scoring, but he can make the plays and get Devin Booker and allow him to eat. Where if you have the opposite, Devin Booker's still probably going to want to score. And if he ends up kind of alienating Bradley Beal because Bradley Beal is the third option, and he's like, I can get a bucket better than Bradley Beal can. I'm better than Bradley Beal, so I should be taking 25 shots per game rather than Bradley Beal should. And then Kevin Durant, I need to make sure he eats because, he's Kevin Durant. I think that there could be a problem there. Where if you have Bradley Beal, Bradley Beal might think he's better than both. It doesn't matter. But you want that point, whoever's playing the point guard, quote unquote, you want them to be willing to kind of take that backseat sacrifice. And why not make your third option be that guy? So that way he almost by nature has to sacrifice because he's like, okay, I'm not playing the shooting guard. I'm not playing the scorer. I'm playing the facilitator. Get my point? See what I'm talking about? The other option would be Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant was like number 1 or 2 in the league in like pick and roll action. Like Kevin Durant was really good kind of orchestrating and running an offense last year. He's a guy that could very well do that. But also Kevin Durant is the least aggressive, right? Like he's the most passive, and he's also the guy that doesn't need 30 shots to give you 30 points, right? So he is the most efficient and effective. So there is a real argument for Kevin Durant to kind of play point guard. Because, again, you just need somebody to bring the ball up and to run the sets. And they kind of did that with Kevin Durant. The problem is he's 7 feet. So, how is he able to play point guard for extended periods of time under pressure and stuff like that when that's kind of never really been a role, right? He's brought the ball up. He's, gotten the inbound, brought it up, ran, and, kind of facilitated and ran and set the offense. But it's not the same thing, again, as playing point guard full time. And so how does that pressure look? In the regular season, he probably could do it and get away with it. But come playoffs, it could make things a little complicated. But there is an argument for it, right? If he can bring the ball up, he's the least, he's the guy that is most passive, right? He's the guy that's like, hey, I just want to hoop. Let me get Bradley Beal going. Let me get Devin Booker going. Let me get my 15 shot attempts. And because he is more efficient than both of them, he could still go get you 20, right? So Kevin Durant can go get you 20, 25 on 15 attempts. And then that way Devin Booker and Bradley Beal could go get their 20 to 25. Like that is kind of the other alternative, but I don't know. I personally think the best option, if you're not going to go get like a point guard, I think the best option is Bradley Beal. He's your third option. He's your third best player. Put him in a position to where he feels like he has to facilitate, like he has to play make. And I think you'll have some success. But those are my thoughts and opinions. And as always, I pass a question on you. Let me know yours down in the comments below. What do you think? Agree with me? Disagree with me? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.